Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And by far, one of the most interesting subjects in crypto for, I believe, nearly everybody is crypto regulation. It doesn't sound that fun, honestly, to me even. It doesn't sound like the most exciting subject, but honestly, if you start thinking about it, the regulation aspect of crypto is one of the only reasons why it's literally not everywhere just quite yet. Think about it. Why aren't some of these major institutions investing into it? Well, because it's just not clear what exactly is allowed and what is not allowed. And we can kind of pass that baton on a little bit further. A lot of companies are waiting their turn purely because they don't know what's smart or don't know what is officially eventually going to be allowed and considered fine. On that same note, over in the US, they're doing a very strange job at trying to regulate it. We all know they're doing it piece by piece. You know, they're getting these steps out there, a little step by step by step. But it feels as if they're not doing step by step by step this direction, but the opposite way. And the reason I'm saying that is because Biden had its executive order saying, hey, we're going to be starting to look into crypto. You do this, you do that, you do this. And then all of a sudden we noticed, hey, that should have been progress coming from that point. What we've noticed is the head of the SEC, Gary Gensler, is actually only trying to take things back onto the opposite side by, in my own opinion, in my own words, just kind of messing up every single process, every single finding by saying, you know what? There are reasons why we should delegate this crypto regulation to potentially the CFTC. But if you look at the amount of you go sitting like if you look at the amount of lawsuits we've done, if you look at the amount of money we've gotten back from foreign investors or something like that, something that doesn't make sense, we're doing a pretty good job, and maybe we should be ahead of this crypto realm. It's kind of interesting. Now, obviously, a lot of the people like a digital asset investor are nearly every day just sharing a lot of this fun, hypocritical stuff. For example, Thursday, September 15th, 10 a.m., Gary Gensler appears before Congress. ETHgate is real Congress. Gary can't pick and choose where he applies security laws. The people deserve a level playing field. This has to do with the fact that Gary has often criticized Ethereum for what it is. And let's quickly watch this. You'll see what I mean with that. Give me just a second.
When somebody is raising money from the public,
Ethereum started with a pre-sale and an ICO, which we'll be talking about 72 million Ethereum.
For multiple identities.
And when somebody is raising money from the public and the public anticipates a profit.
A lot of cryptocurrencies do resemble securities. What's the next step?
They don't just resemble, they are securities, Nick. They are. I mean, Thurgood Marshall, a great Supreme Court justice, wrote in an opinion, and I think it was in the 1970s, that Congress painted with a broad brush to protect the public. And when somebody is raising money from the public and the public anticipates a profit.
And I learned if you're a rich guy, you don't break the rules, right? So I was like, but I could buy OTC. And so I end up calling Vitalik.
Okay, so honestly, I could let this play for a long time, and I kind of want to, but I'm not so sure how copyright-wise it works and whatnot, and also these stories are a little bit dragged out. Point being, Ethereum obviously raised money from the public. People had the idea that this was going to do really well. It's kind of hypocritical to then not go after Ethereum a lot, and this does not mean I'm against Ethereum. Very big Ethereum holder, very big fan of it, right? Don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted, my guy. I'm just saying, how exactly does that make sense? You know, where exactly do we set that boundary? Why are they indeed picking and choosing winners? Why is Ethereum then fine, albeit that it goes by its definition of being a security for sure, but then, for example, a crypto like XRP, no, that's bad. Even though in theory, it didn't actually have a pre-sale in the sense that they are covering like this, because it was more so of a giveaway, and there's, you know, not the expectation of profit literally, because that's nearly impossible with the idea that they had. There's also so many theories as to why he might be biased. For example, John Dean is trying to dive a little bit more into all of this as to why the SEC does not want an investigation. If you know what I'm talking about here, people are wondering exactly, and I even have it open. Give me a sec. You know, I decided to make an account for you guys on the New York Times purely to be able to watch this content. You know, make sure you press that thumbs up. SEC chair doubles down on the need to regulate crypto. It's even going as crazy as that, because right now he went on a little bit of a spree, I guess is the best way to explain it, of trying to say, hey, we should get the control over crypto. We should keep it. We're doing a really good job. Look at all these lawsuits, basically. Look at all the money we're protecting from the investors. When you start looking at it, though, it's like, who are you really protecting? And why don't you want an investigation into your entity? Why isn't it a good thing? Why don't you answer all the FOIA requests, which are Freedom of Information Act, which is information that should be available to the public, which is why the act is there. And they're always trying to deny that. Matt Levine dropped a piece on Gary Gensler's approach to regulating digital assets that deserves attention because it says the quiet part out loud. Key points come at the end. Gensler's posture seems like a massive bet against crypto ever being important. His message is basically, I should be the main regulator of crypto, and as the main regulator, my plan is mostly to ban it. Again, people are calling out that he might be biased towards this. I don't want to say that. I don't know. That's not abstractly an insane posture. That's more or less the view of the U.S. Enforcement agency takes towards some other substances. For instance, but most of the people who are jockeying to be main regulator of crypto want to regulate a thriving ecosystem. They want it to be big, and they want it to be in charge of it, of that sector, of the big sector now. Gensler wants to be in charge of it and have it be irrelevant and cumbersome and slow moving. So again, the strange part about it is, let's say you really are a control freak and you really want power. Why don't you make this sector as big as possible while trying to stay on top of it, basically, as the main regulator? What he's trying to do is stay on top of it, okay, and have all the control, while also making sure the industry is as small as possible. Makes no sense, unless you're biased to some degree to do that. My own thoughts. That approach is not going to appeal to anyone in the crypto industry, obviously not. And I don't think it's going to appeal to the politicians who are interested in crypto and who are writing their own legislation to decide who should regulate it. Gensler's posture is that he should be in charge of writing the rules for crypto, but not write them. I don't see how that can work, and I will fully agree with that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And here, the entire article, you can see, chair doubles down on the need to regulate crypto. Gary Gensler, SEC chair, said he would work with Congress to create new legislation. And people obviously in the community were kind of like wary of exactly what that would mean. But at the end of the day, we'll not know until something happens next, I guess. Here's another little piece which is interesting. Bill is going wild as well. See extract from Cointelegraph article. Gary Gensler wants exchanges to register, and it is naive to think he will stop at centralized exchanges. John Deaton knows Gary Gensler is after all crypto exchanges, and Coinbase is first in line. Again, John Deaton stated, on January 1st, 2021, 9 days after the SEC sued Ripple claiming all XRP are securities, including XRP sold independent of Ripple, I sued the SEC and argued the following, quote, the issue before the court and the public is that if the SEC actually attempts to incorporate SEC's public definitions and argue that today's XRP is a security, it is a slippery slope that the SEC is going down. If the SEC does not amend its complaint to only include alleging that specific XRP distributions made by Ripple or its executives in the early days of Ripple and XRP, then the entire digital asset industry is on notice that the SEC could be coming for your crypto next. Your meaning your own, in your pocket right now. This regulation by enforcement approach applied to crypto almost a decade later must not be allowed by the courts because, again, Ripple's been in talks for such a long while. Deaton versus SEC. I also wrote the following in the petition. The SEC's complaint against Ripple declaring that XRP has been and continues to be a security is likely the most far-reaching, outrageous, and absurd claim the SEC has ever alleged. Yeah, it's a strange one. I'll still continue on to state that every single day of the week. It is a strange one that they're trying to battle. It's an uphill battle anyway. There were a couple of interesting parts, I guess, today that came out as well. I think James Fillon shared that there was one more part of the lawsuit, the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit that came out. SEC files motion to seal portions of the parties' replies to the exclusion motions. Once more, SEC files motions to seal, meaning they want to hide, portions of the parties, both sides, replies to the exclusion motions. Exclusion for expert testimony, I'm assuming. A question is rightfully said or asked, whatever. For a government agency supposedly out to protect the consumer, you would think we should see and know the experts. Experts in this sense meaning there were a couple of different phases in this lawsuit. Fact discovery, expert discovery, and eventually going to the summary judgment, right? In this expert discovery, there were a couple of different experts that were questioned about X, Y, whatever. A lot of different questions were asked. Now, who exactly these experts were and what they were questioned about, part of that is known, but part of that is also trying to be hidden, both from the SEC and both from Ripple's side. It's more logical, though, that Ripple wants to hide it than the SEC, mostly for the reason that the SEC is, again, protecting the public. They're doing this in favor of the public, and so it would be more logical that all of us were to be able to see who exactly these experts on the matter are. As well, they should get the best of the best, and they should be really proud of who they got, if you guys get my drift. And saying it's for privacy concerns or so is something they don't really do. You would think they should know and see who the defendants are, right, to protecting us, yet they want to hide anything and everything that should be in our best interest. Makes no sense. Again, to me, also not. Then again, also logically, it's the SEC. They've not really done anything in our favor anyway. If I'm mistaking this, let me know. But as far as I'm concerned, they've never really done anything that benefited us, the people. It's mostly literally just what makes a lot of sense to win a battle, you know? They've done everything to make things as difficult and cumbersome as possible. They're doing a really good job at that. They've done, in my knowledge, nothing to speed this up, make it quick, make it concise. They've done everything to make it really a poor, slow process with a really strange end result of just everybody hitting everybody and the lawyers winning, but that's my thoughts. XRP lawsuit, Ripple aims for ultimate win as case with the SEC finally inches towards an endgame. If you're wondering why the endgame is so near or what exactly it means, it actually has to do with the fact that this, let me actually make sure that this does not go out. Smart. The fact that we're going into the summary judgment phase. A couple of lawyers have already stated this is the phase where we get to see a lot of new information again about both parties that was hidden throughout this entire lawsuit. But also quite logically, and I think you guys can all understand that, we've been literally waiting for the next phase. Fact discovery, then expert discovery, and now summary judgment. This is finally the third and most important phase of the lawsuit where a lot of things are going to be uncovered, as we just stated, and what lawyers said as well. It's just some progress. It feels like literal progress. After the SEC has been extending. Finally, some progress towards the better direction of ending something. And that's why they're calling this endgame. It's the last major and most important phase of the lawsuit. And it's happening within a couple of days. I think it's like 3 days from now. September 13th, we're going to get this. I don't know what else to tell you. You know, we're finally making moves. Also, there's one very important, I guess, schedule that you need to be aware of. As you guys probably know, there was a little bit ago this new letter regarding the summary judgment and the starts of that. It was mostly about the sealing, but, you know, let's quickly read what it says on the side by James Fillon. The parties have filed a joint proposal to govern sealing issues relating to the upcoming summary judgment motions to be filed in this case. And what we're going to see is September 19th. Even Jeremy Hogan was pretty excited about it. It says right here, circle September 19th as the day we get to see most of the cards the parties are holding. The end game is getting me excited. I'm weird like that. And circle back. Which one was it now? I have too many freaking tabs open. Here we go. Let's check it out again. Previous one. These are lawyers. September 19th, parties filed public redacted versions of briefs, redacted hopefully partially, in support of the summary judgment motions, making only those provisional redactions requested by the parties during the meet and confer. I don't know what else to tell you. This is the next big thing. September 13th, things are starting, which is in 3 days from now. September 19th, a lot of things are going to be made public. I'm assuming September 13th is just when let's see it again. Parties file all materials relating to summary judgment motions temporarily under seal, meaning it's completely hidden, including briefs, Rule 56.1 statements, and supporting exhibits. 2 days later, parties meet to confer, they meet up with each other to identify redactions, hitting stuff, sought by each side to the briefs in support of the summary judgment motions. And then 4 days later, parties file public, so for all of us to see, some redacted, so meaning partially hidden versions, and then things go on next month or so. But we'll cover that when time is due. But yeah, that was it for right now, guys. Hopefully you all enjoyed this little episode. Little hatred speech kind of feels like against Gary. That's not it. If he's doing a good job, I'll rightfully tell him so. I just personally don't think he's doing a really good job. Not for us, at least. We can argue. But one point stays quite clear. If he's doing things to protect investors, it could rightfully be so. We're just not noticing it, though. So he's not doing a proper job, because if we're not noticing it, maybe it's the sense of, but he's really trying. It's just like a 7,000-step plan. But I am buying it, honestly. What I'm thinking of right now is this man is literally either crooked or power hungry. Maybe both. Am I saying that that's factual? Absolutely not. These are my observations from reading what his thoughts have been or something like that, or his actions, I guess, in the crypto space. Vile. Not for investors like their oath should be. Can it change? Sure. Is he a bad man? I don't know. Not trying to allege that. Not trying to say that. Just trying to say that I don't think his actions are right to protect the people. And I personally don't feel as these were the best choices that the head of the SEC should have made. And I hope that one time they'll just change, because the SEC is not a bad entity. You know, protecting U.S. investors from scams is good. I will honestly come out and say that the SEC is not a bad entity to have. Every country, I think, has it. It's doing normally pretty good. Just in the U.S., it's a little bit stupid, and they're not doing a proper job, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe. I'll see you guys again in another video out later today. See you guys.